safety protocols. He's really their only other ball handler who can take some of the pressure off LeBron. It's kind of like wake me up until those guys get back. Now, I'll be concerned if we start hearing things like Anthony Davis's injury is lingering or it's more serious than we thought. But these guys don't care about playoff seeding. They don't care much about home court. They just need to get to the playoffs intact. Yes, would it be nice if they were playing better, if Wes Matthews would hit more shots and some of these role players would step up? Sure, but this team is about LeBron and AD, and I can't read too much into anything that happens when AD is not playing.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think when you put together the injuries on top of the fact that All-Stars coming, LeBron's not excited about going to play All-Star. So that's probably probably weighing into it a little bit. But you do have injuries. You have a seasoned team, a championship team on a quick turnaround who are now in the midst of the next season trying to repeat. And you're going to have lulls, especially right before All-Star game. I think this team, when they get healthy and they come back out of All-Star, they're going to come back firing on all cylinders. And I don't think home court will be as important this year without a big crowd in the arena. So I don't think that's weighing on their minds too much.
The three guys, everybody's right about this. AD, Schroeder out. No fans in the stands. The Lakers are the Lakers. And as long as they still got LeBron James, they're good to go. Let me just say this. As you watch them play and they keep losing, you saying, please don't match up with me in the playoffs. You do not want to match up with the Lakers in the playoffs. So if they keep losing, you say, okay, I don't want to be in a position to play them again. So the Lakers aren't worried because it's the playoffs. They're going to step it up. They're going to be healthy. And who knows what's going to happen when the trade deadline comes into play. Because if they get another big man, watch out.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little more in the next segment. But, Rob, we were talking a little bit before the show started, and you watch this team more closely than anyone else on our air because you also get paid to watch them from Spectrum here in L.A., and you sit there every night in the studio and discuss them for a half hour after every game. So can you tell the people out there a little bit of what you were telling me about Dennis Schroeder and just all the ways that him being missing has hurt this team in the last 2 weeks or week?
Dennis the Menace is one of those guys that doesn't get talked about enough. He is an incredible ball handler. He takes a lot of pressure off LeBron. He's one of those guys that's crafty around the rim. You look at what Rondo did for the Lakers last season in the championship. That's what Dennis Schroeder does him in 2.0 version. He can get to the rack. He can shoot jumpers. He can hit threes a little bit better. But the most important thing and what the Lakers miss him the most is when he picks up other players in the backcourt. That wears the other team down defensively and offensively. So he's turning guys. He's doing things. He's been that menace that they like him to be. And people, somebody like Zach doesn't appreciate things like that. When guys doesn't show up in the stats, they play defense like that to get a ball up and do things like that. So Dennis the Menace is being missed just as much as AD.
Zach, I was going to move on to the Celtics, but please respond if you care to.
I'm not going to respond to this big shot, Rob. It's all these big shots. He thinks he can take shots at me. I'm not even going to dignify it. I will say the one thing that's different, though, for the Lakers this year is the competition. The Clippers, I think, are at least more cohesive. The Jazz are for real. The path out of the West is going to be harder. So it is one thing that's different. Like, they're going to need to play at a really high level the entire playoffs. So there is one difference. I would like to see them get clicking, but they got plenty of time.
All right, let's move on, in fact, to the Celtics. Their struggles continued last night. Trae Young, 33 points. Danilo Gallinari dropped 38 off the bench. The Celtics lost their third straight game. They dipped to 2 games below 500. Now, in a local radio interview with 98.5 The Sports Hub today, Danny Ainge said, quote, "I wish I had answers for you. I don't." So, Fizz, do you have any answers on what is wrong with the Celtics at the moment?
Well, I think it's a few things happening. One, you just got to give the Eastern Conference credit. It's a better conference now. You got the Hornets playing great basketball. You got the Hawks. You got the Knicks. All of these teams are getting better. I'm sure it's another young team I'm leaving out right now, but those teams are better. Now you look at their roster. No Gordon Hayward, and now Marcus Smart is out, and now they're have to play a lot of small guys. And so what you're seeing is parts of the game where their defense isn't clicking for them, or offensively they may not be drawing fouls or getting the shots that they necessarily want. But I wouldn't be worried about these guys. They've been through a lot. The 2 All-Stars are rising to the occasion, and you're going to see better basketball as the season moves forward.
Man, I never, ever thought I would agree with Danny Ainge right now. It's like you don't know what's going on with the Celtics team. They got two young stars, two all-stars is playing together. You got Tristan Thompson is rebounding his butt off for them. And you look around and he says, what is the problem? Other than Marcus Smart being injured, who is the engine of that team, you trying to figure out why are they losing? And I have to agree with Fizz. The East is a lot better. The East is so good now from all the young teams. And these young teams are those types of teams that don't care about anything but getting buckets, playing basketball, and having fun. And
the
winning.
East only has 3 teams that are over 500 now. Just 3. Yes, the bottom of the East might be better. But, Zach, help me out here. Just 3 teams over 500. I cannot buy that the East is such a juggernaut that the Celtics can't compete. Doesn't this have to do, Zach, with their depth also?
Well, if the East is so good, how about the East owners vote for 1 to 16 playoff seating so we just get the top 16 teams in? How about that, juggernaut Eastern Conference? Look, the Celtics, Gordon Hayward left for nothing. Mr. Trade Exception has not played any games for the Celtics this year. Trade Exception is not a real human being. Marcus Smart's injured, and that has left the Celtics playing too many guys around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown who are really either kind of standstill shooters or just grunt guy rebounders like Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tice. And the result has been this offense is just stuck in mud. You can tell that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are trying to figure out, do we have to do everything? Am I really going to make this kick-out pass? There's just so much one-on-one play. And when you get into a stretch like that, and I think they've played something like 14 games in 24 days or something. They've played a ton of games. They're probably tired. It just looks bad. I think no team needs the All-Star break more than Boston. They're better than this, but it'll be interesting to see how good they can get when Smart comes back and Kemba Walker is finally finding his game again. But they certainly don't feel like a team right now who's going to punch into that Brooklyn, Philly, Milwaukee conversation yet.
And look, I do get what you guys are saying in the larger sense. If the teams at the bottom of the East are better, that just means that they can't beat up on those weaker teams anymore. So I get it. I'm just
Can't have an off night. Can't have an off night.
Cannot have an off night in the same way. Now, Celtics governor and CEO Wick Grousbeck said, he told NBC Sports Boston, quote, "We had hoped Kyrie would stay forever and lead us all the way. That change touched off a lot of stuff because he left, a bit of a domino effect." Fizz, do you buy that Kyrie leaving had such a big domino effect on the Celtics that they're still feeling the repercussions of that a couple seasons later?
Well, I mean, it always is a ripple effect that doesn't really stop, but ultimately you're not feeling it no more. You're moved on. I mean, you got 2 All-Stars on your team, for crying out loud, and 2 former All-Stars. So, no, I'm not buying that per se, but I guarantee you, if they were really banking on having Kyrie, that definitely started a ripple effect that they didn't plan on. But ultimately, come on, enough time has passed. You can't keep talking about that stuff.
No, I'm not buying it at all. Kyrie moved on. He didn't play that much when he was there anyway, so It's not a ripple effect. So I'm not buying it at all.
No. You know what else, too, Rachel?
I don't really see why this is so...
Go ahead, Zach. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know why this is that controversial. Like Kemba's not playing very well. Kyrie's playing out of his mind. I think implied by this is the Celtics' plan A way back when was Kyrie is going to be the draw that helps us trade for Anthony Davis and gets Anthony Davis to stay. And that plan all blew up in their faces. So I think there is some truth to this. I also think it's kind of like, duh, why mention it?
Well, also, this team has made 2 of the last 3 Eastern Conference Finals. So I'm not sure I would look at Kyrie leaving. I can't even keep track of days on the calendar. A year and a half ago, 2 years ago, the last year has been 10 years. Anyway, I wouldn't necessarily point to that. I think there's some other roster issues they have got to get going with. All right, Robert and Coach Fizz are taking a segment off. They will be back later in the show, though, so don't go too far, gentlemen. Coming up, we are going to get a bunch of our insiders together because it is officially 1 month from